The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com.
All right, we apologize for the delay on getting this episode out to you, but we just needed that much more time to recover from the craziness that was all out weekend. So if you want to hear our thoughts, stick around and enjoy this latest episode of Shootin' as we prepare to go all out. All right, we are ready to go here with another episode 2 of Shootin'. And as always, I am one of your three awesome hosts, DDJ. To the left of me, we got the premier Joey K, and right below the both of us, we have the hot one, Jay Minacho. Gentlemen, how are we doing this evening?
Fantastic. I am exhausted, and I didn't even fly to Chicago. So I am pumped. I'm excited. Hot one. Tell me how you're doing.
I am fantastically exhausted. I drove 16 hours from Dallas to Chicago and then all around Chicago on searches for like 24-hour McDonald's, frozen custard, random sporting events. Man, it was a blast.
Man, dude, it's just I'm still trying to recover from the craziness. I mean, you throw in the softball game we had Thursday night. Giovanni was representing at AEW Dynamite. I was there on Friday for Rampage. Jay was at GCW all weekend. Man, I think the premiere was probably sitting on his couch watching everything.
100%.
100%, man. Hey, you know what? There ain't nothing wrong with that and stuff, but
that was the smartest thing to do.
Yeah, you're lucky, Joey, because you didn't have to worry about waiting hours in line to get merch. You didn't have to worry about waiting what seemed like forever for a extremely slow moving bartender working the only line they had for the only bar in the upper level suites. That's going to be a story for another time.
What do you mean? I was waiting for you two goofs to message me back about picking me up a shirt, and nobody ever messaged me. You jerks.
I had no signal in the Now Arena. Plus,
dude, I had to step out from my suite to get a signal.
Dude. Hey, one more time. Where were you at, DDJ? Where were you sitting?
I was sitting in a suite.
Oh,
bro,
too sweet.
Being on the floor, there was no merch close to us, so I was screwed either way.
Oh, I know.
Plus, there was a stand right below me, but it's just like I said, the lines are like if you weren't there, like amongst the first in line, you were going to be waiting at least an hour, if not longer, for the to get some merch. And again, we'll save that for a different subject. But AEW, if you're listening, you got to get more merch stands in these shows, because 3 stands at the Now Arena for over 11,000 people just ain't gonna cut it.
Well, hey, I was at the first AEW show in Philly, and they only had 3 stands there, and those lines were not as bad since it was only the 3rd episode of Dynamite. I'm heading there again on the 6th of October. Just picked up tickets for it, so I'll be at Dynamite once again, and I expect the merch lines to be way, way worse this time.
And also, too, I will say this before we kind of start getting into our topics here. Inflation was rearing its ugly head at the show because I don't know what they were selling them for. Maybe Jay, you can clarify for me. But I know at Rampage, the CM Punk ice cream bars were going for $8 a pop. At the pay-per-view, do you guys hear what they were selling them for?
No, what was that?
Jay, why don't you tell them?
I can't even remember what it was. The only thing I know is it was stupid and I walked away.
It was $16. They doubled the price of the ice cream bar for the pay-per-view.
Wow.
Yeah.
So needless to say, as much as I
Hell.
enjoyed my ice cream bar Friday night and had every intention in the world of getting one on Sunday, it was not $16 a bar good.
That wrapper's worth $3.50 to the right mark. I mean, person.
Yeah, I know, but at the time I was just flabbergasted in that. So, but yeah, all in all, great show. We'll share our thoughts on it here in a little bit, but let's get right to it. There were a lot of surprises at the show, and I believe there were, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, there were 4 debuts in the show. So that brings us to our first topic here. Biggest surprise debut at All Out. All right. So, yes, we had 4 surprise debuts here. Gentlemen, I'm going to lead this one off because I kind of got a little bit of an interesting take I wanted to take on this. To me, and in the wording of the topic, it's biggest surprise debut. And to me, there was really only one debut that was like totally out of left field that like I don't think anyone who was there knew was going to happen. And for me, that was Minoru Suzuki. The nobody knew he was going. At least and if you say you knew, you're lying. But yeah, to me, that was the only debut, surprise, whatever you want to call it, that nobody expected, and it was just unreal. I know everybody in my suite set was going crazy. You could just, I was going crazy. My wife, who was in the suite, is like asking who Minoru Suzuki was, and it's only one of the most legitimate badasses in Japan. And yeah, I mean, to me, that may have not been like my favorite one, but in terms of like shock value and surprise, for me, it's an easy slam dunk. It was Minoru Suzuki. Joey, what do you got?
As far as a surprise, yeah, I'm gonna agree with you 100%. I don't think anybody saw that coming. The talk was about Bryan Danielson debuting in New York, and I don't know if it was just what they wanted to do or if they're getting a little scared about the restrictions happening in New York by the end of September. So you kind of knew that was coming. Adam Cole, everybody kind of knew he might debut, maybe not, maybe they'll hold off till Dynamite or Rampage. Everybody was hitting at Ruby too. So it was all out there, but Suzuki really kind of, that was my biggest oh crap moment of the night, where it was like, oh wow, I can't believe we're gonna get this now in AEW. So congrats to Moxley on taking on the Japanese legend killer role at this point in his career. So that's interesting. But yeah, I'm very stoked about it. I was super excited. Just another presence from New Japan in AEW. They have a lot more talent they could bring over here. So I'm excited to see where this goes.
I would love to say Suzuki was the biggest one. Because I'm not going to lie, it got a big pop from everybody who heard that music and knew what it was. When they saw the name, they saw him at the entrance, we popped. But I'm going to still go with one that I honestly think shocked a lot of people there. And that would be Adam Cole.
Baby.
Guys, for the fact that his WWE contract expired on Friday and he was on an AEW show on Sunday, even more than that, in the show itself, Britt Baker pulls out the Pittsburgh Sunrise, The crowd pops crazy for that. That's Adam Cole's move. And dude, we went nuts over just the damn move. So when he finally shows up, somebody that you didn't think is going to be there yet, because, he's got to have a 90-day. Vince is going to be negotiating with them. They're about to throw money on top of money on top of money to this guy. They're not going to let Adam Cole go because that's stupid. What happened? We all witnessed a change in wrestling. When Adam Cole stepped out, that is going to be looked upon like when Hogan debuted in WCW.
Or when, like, say, Luger showed up on Nitro.
Yep.
Wow. All right. Yeah. I think, again, a lot of us knew, that Cole was coming, but I honestly didn't know when. But, I mean, I love the way that they debuted him. Only complaint I have about that was, and I think Giovanni, you can attest to this too, is they made the announcement that the shirt he wore was going to be for sale at the merch stand, and then apparently they did a 180. He's like, oh, never mind, you're going to have to get it online.
Yeah, they announced his shirt. Oh no, never mind. It was Bryan Danielson. No, I mean Ruben. No, none of the shirts are going to be ready. They'll be online tomorrow.
Yeah, and if you watched, I think at some point during that segment, you can see Pro Wrestling Tees' very own Frank Spahik with the little roller sign that said available on shopaew.com tomorrow. So
since I got to watch it at home, it was just perfectly placed, right dead center. Just here's the sign. We popped so hard here at the house, just like dying over that. So great move, Pro Wrestling Tees. Great move.
Did you see me on camera, Joey K?
I did not.
I could see you from my suite.
Well, there you go.
Where was that again? Where were you at again?
I was in a suite, like a legit suite, not like some fake one that was being advertised as for being for sale a few months ago. So,
and that is
so you got the fake suite.
I guess apparently it really wasn't. Maybe he was telling the truth. It was an actual suite. Oh, and in another ironic twist of fate, we had a visitor to our suite, but we'll get into that a little bit later because I think when you hear those of you who are kind of following the story that we're alluding to, when you hear who this guest who stopped by the suite was, it makes you kind of wonder, So a little bit of a tease to kind of keep you here till the end of the show. Right. So a couple more things here. We had during the show, we had a certain match where a certain gentleman's career was on the line. So let's get into that. The finish to Jericho versus MJF. So one of the most hotly debated topics, subjects, whatever you want to call it, was the finish to the Chris Jericho versus MJF match. And again, for those of you who may have missed out, first off, where were you? And secondly, if you want to get a refresher, this is how it went. Match was going on. Referee had her back turned. I believe MJF took Floyd the bat, hit Jericho with it, and then hit him with the Judas effect. Jericho goes down. MJF goes for the cover, goes 1, 2. The ref counts to 3, but before the ref counted to 3, Jericho got his foot on the rope. So we're thinking, okay, maybe MJF is going to win, but this is going to be kind of something where Jericho's going to be like, nah, this was a bad call. I should have, this match should have continued. But one of the other referees who came out to separate, I believe it was Hager from Wardlow, I believe it was Paul Turner, after the MJF music started playing, Paul Turner goes to Aubrey Edwards and said his foot was on the ropes. So we got the Dusty finish. So the match resumes. Comes down to MJF tapping to the walls of Jericho, and Jericho's career continues on. Now, a lot of people didn't like that match, the way that match ended. Jay, what about you? What do you think of the end of that match?
Man, smoke them if you got them. I loved it. I absolutely love the finish. Me being a big time Jericho fan, thinking that Jericho was getting screwed out of his retirement match at the time, I was legitimately heated. And I was just like, how could Aubrey have blown this spot? She's one of their more solid refs. That's why Jericho works with her. And then when you start to see the other ref over there calling to her attention, oh, the foot's on the rope, the foot's on the rope. And I start thinking, where have I seen this before? And if you like old school wrestling, you hit it quick. You're like, son of a bitch, they're doing the Dusty finish.
Yep.
And then for the finish to actually come down to the Lion Tamer, which is something Jericho hasn't finished with in AEW. He always uses Judas effect to put that edge out. But he got the Lion Tamer on him after working the back that whole match. That match had a whole story into it. That match was not only one of Jericho's longest running storylines, but the match itself told a beautiful story.
Yeah,
And I was fine with it. I loved it. At the end of the match, I was, that guy in tears. And if you watch the match when the refs are arguing to restart the match, I'm on the side of the, behind the refs, and I'm yelling at them to restart the match, calling it was bullshit. Dude, I was in. I was 100% invested into that angle.
Joey, what about you?
So I got to have a different perspective from you guys. First
Why?
of
Because
all,
you weren't at the show?
because I wasn't there. I didn't have a suite. So, the thing for me though
I did.
is the thing for me is this. You guys, this match going into it was not one of the matches I was most looking forward to on the card. It didn't yes, I was into it because I knew it was going to be the final blow off to the entire Jericho MJF feud. However, with everything else on the card, I was a little more excited for some other things, which we'll talk about shortly. But that match 100% hooked me at home watching on Bleacher Report just as much as it hooked you guys watching it live. The biggest difference, though, is I got to hear the commentary while you guys didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, the commentary kind of ruined the finish for me. Like you said, you're getting the Dusty finish. I see what's happening, but I'm listening to everybody yell over each other about what's going on. So where you guys have that moment, that awesome moment where you're like, did they just screw Jericho? Where are we going with this? You don't have all the whole picture. I get the whole picture from Jim Ross and Excalibur yelling back and forth about his foot was on the damn rope. So, it took me out a little bit because I knew something else was coming before you guys did because I had the commentary. However, 100% agree. That match was two things. Number one, it told one of the best stories we've had in AEW to date. Number two, if you doubted for any reason that MJF is not as big of a star as he says he is, please see yourself out. That man is over the biggest heel in professional wrestling. No spoiler alert for Dynamite, but take a listen to his promo from Dynamite after All Out. Ooh. And trust me when I say this, that man is the best heel on a microphone, bar none. Don't care. And that was the biggest part of the match for me. It was MJF's coming out party. Kudos to Jericho for, yes, going over in the win, but putting over MJF. And I think that's something that Bully Ray says on Busted Open. There's a difference between going over and being put over. So yeah, come on. It was a great match, a great story. I loved it. Loved every second of it, actually.
It's kind of funny how you mentioned Busted Open and getting put over because I kind of had a little bit of an experience with that this past weekend as well.
I unfortunately opened the forbidden door here.
Yes, you did.
But I'm not going to go into.
No. You go into it. You
Shoot
tell
your
them.
Shot.
Well, okay. So for those of you who don't know, Busted Open was through a little pre-all-out party the night before at the Spar. That was about 20 minutes north of where I live. And they had a little bit of a trivia competition. I got picked. I had to answer a qualifying question, which I did pretty easily, and it was me against I think it was 3 other people. And let's just say that it was the first to 5 that would win. I believe I got 5. I think the next closest person maybe had 2. One of the questions that I got asked, and this is what I think kind of had not only Dave LaGreca, who's the host of Busted Open, but Mark Henry himself, kind of just blew him away, was they had asked what the main event for, I can't think of the exact date, but it was some Madison Square Garden house show in March of 96. I believe it was the week before WrestleMania 12. And it was a question that I believe Santana had asked Dave. Dave didn't get it right, but it kind of got me thinking. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take a stab at this. So I said what I said. It was basically Bret Hart and The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels and Diesel. And everybody there looked at me like, how in the did he know that? And literally everybody just looked at me, and Mark himself said there, all right, that's it. This guy's the winner, and then I think even Dave said the same thing. I go on to win and stuff, and I'm sitting there talking with Mark, and I think he was just really impressed with my knowledge. So he pulls out his phone, goes on his Instagram. He takes a picture of the two of us, does a selfie, takes a picture. Then he proceeds to put me over on not only his Instagram, but as well as his Twitter, and just go to the Mark Henry, I believe, on Instagram and Twitter. And you can see this lovely face if you're watching this on YouTube. You can see as I got put over by a WWE Hall of Famer because of my trivia knowledge. So anyways, that's enough about that. Now to go on to the finish with this Jericho versus MJF match. I'm in agreement with you guys. I absolutely loved it. I liked how you alluded to how good of a heel that MJF has really become and the heat he's going to getting. Case in point, his entrance for that match. They did the whole parody of the Y2J countdown.
Pissed me off.
Fireworks go out. It literally was reminiscent of his debut at the Rosemont Horizon back in '99. But then when the video came up, it said Jericho's last match, and that is when everybody knew they were had. And just, man, it's just that's heel heat right there.
Yeah.
The end of the match, absolutely loved it because of the fact that it didn't do any harm to MJF because he can go out and say, I pinned Jericho. He technically did, but Jericho's foot was on the rope. But you know what? It does. Obviously, it puts Jericho over because, he wins the match. His career continues on. So it's one of those cases where, Joe, I think you alluded to it, and it's something that I'm a big proponent of, what Bully Ray has to say in Busted Open when he talks about, in this case, Jericho went over, but MJF got over even more than he already is. So me, absolutely no problem with the way this match ended. So, all right. So probably in the most hotly anticipated match of the night, we had Darby Allin going up against CM Punk, who was making his return to the ring after an believe it was a 7.5-year absence from the ring. I believe his last match prior to All Out was the 2014 Royal Rumble. So let's go to our next topic here. How did CM Punk do? So plain and simple, how did CM Punk do? Jay, why don't you lead us off on this one?
It's hard. It's a hard question to really wrap my mind around because the fanboy in me wants to say the fact that CM Punk was there in a ring, in trunks, was amazing. And the other part of me that's a fanboy wants to see that, the callbacks to what was it? The Bulldog and Six.
Oh, it was Bret Hart and the 1, 2, 3
Bret
Kid.
Hart and Six.
Bret Hart and the 1, 2, 3 Kid, yes.
Yeah. He's had 17 different names, 6X anyway. Waltman. So the callbacks to Waltman and Bret Hart makes it amazing. The fact that when you're watching, you can kind of tell that Punk is calling some of this in the ring. To me, that also was amazing. But on a second rewatch of this match, not live, when I got home after 16 hours of driving, I kind of had a different view on it. I'm not in the moment anymore. I'm not there with the electricity of the crowd, CM Punk chants going deafening. And I'm watching it just off of the wrestling. And CM Punk did enough to say that he had a match. It wasn't a CM Punk match. It's not what he's used to doing. It's not his normal work rate. It wasn't a normal match for him. But after 7.5 years of being away, having his first match be something that kind of told a bit of a story, they paid homage to some classic times in wrestling, and he at least got in 2 of his real big moves.
Mm-hmm.
For what it was, for as long as he was out, I say CM Punk did a good job. Watching it live, it was phenomenal. On the rewatch, it fell a little flat, but for what it was, good job.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for being out of the ring, 7.5 years. Yeah, he did. There was rumors going around that he had been training on the set of Heels. I believe he did, obviously, while not a successful, run, he had his time in the UFC. So it's not like he sat on his the whole time during his time off. You can tell he put the work in and he really busted his. But I mean, it's just for what it was. Yeah, he did a very good job. I mean, I wasn't expecting Flair versus Steamboat. I wasn't expecting Bret Hart versus the 1-2-3 Kid. But I got what I'd hoped I'd see. I didn't want CM Punk to look like he was gonna blow up early into the match or look like he was lost or anything. I mean, I didn't expect it to be a 5-star classic. It's his first match back in 7.5 years. And for those of you out there who are criticizing him and saying, you know what, wasn't very good, it wasn't a bad job, whatever, try, getting in the ring or doing something after not doing it for 7.5 years. I mean, nobody could really, it's very few people could do what Punk did, and that is come back from such a long layoff. I mean, yeah, Jordan was out for a couple years, came back the first time, and was just as good as before. Obviously didn't go so well the second time when he played in Washington. But I mean, even as, let's say Michael Jordan was out 7.5 years and decided he wanted to come back, would he have been as successful? We don't know, but the odds were against it. And that, so, but I mean, yeah, so for what it was, everybody was, went home happy. Punk did what he was set out to do. Have a good match. Again, 7.5 year layoff. I'm satisfied with it. I think, for what it was, I'll go with you, Jovan. Good job, Joey.
I'm going to disagree with both of you.
Oh,
I thought that match was actually great, even on the second watch.
Ooh.
We had well, first of all, he did call a lot in the ring. I want to say this second lockup, caught a little glimpse of it. And that was the first thing we looked at each other here, me and my brother. And my brother goes, he's really calling in the ring. I was like, impressive after that long of a layoff. He's going to go in there and say, okay, let's just call it in the ring. I'm sure they worked out the finish. They worked out a couple of big spots. But I thought, in the moment, the match was amazing. On second watch, I thought it was great. And here's why. Every time Punk comes back, he reinvents himself. He does the same thing that Jericho does. Anytime Jericho is gone for a long period of time, he returns. He's evolved. He's something different. And I think what we got was CM Punk showing up and saying, okay, I get to do what I want to do. And what I want to do right now is I want to wrestle like Bret Hart. By the way, a little foreshadowing from Rampage wearing the Bret Hart t-shirt. And then he goes out and has a Bret Hart style match against, a walking human car crash in Darby Allin. I love Darby. I don't think he's going to have the longest career watching what he does, because eventually that does catch up with you. But it is amazing to watch, and I do enjoy him. I thought it was great because Punk got to do what Punk wanted to do. And when you have that mindset watching it, it kind of changes the perspective a little bit, especially for me. When I knew Punk still had it, there was the spot in the match where Darby goes for the coffin drop and Punk sits straight up and laughed.
Yes.
And we just, whoa. Number one, the timing to make sure that does not end in absolute chaos, that needs to be there. So that told me everything I need to know about CM Punk returning to pro wrestling after 7.5 years. He has the timing. He's going to do what he wants to do. He's going to have fun. He's going to put rear ends in seats. And I'm excited to see him work with a lot of the talent. Show some of these guys, I know a person who gets criticized a lot is Jim Cornette for his views on AEW, but Cornette's an advocate for, actual professional wrestling. And that's what we got from CM Punk. We took the attraction Darby Allin, because really he is at this point. After the build-up in AEW, Darby he's an attraction. You come see, what's Darby going to do? Is he going to get thrown down a flight of concrete stairs? Is he going to get, tossed out of the ring in a body bag? Who knows? He had to wrestle a match against a true professional wrestler, and it brought Darby up to Punk's level in a sense, just having to wrestle that style that you're not used to seeing Darby do. And then you also get CM Punk, who's like, wow, 7.5 years, and the timing's there. The playing to the crowd, the pandering. I mean, everything was there. The emotions, the expressions. Again, another great story told. Good finish. I like the finish to it. Obviously, I think Punk losing his first night back, I don't think he returned for that. So kind of saw it coming, but man, I loved it. I thought it was great. I really did.
Right. And then it's just, again, you had it after the match, the show of respect from Punk to Sting. You had Sting picking up Darby. Darby. It was a really nice touch at the end there. And again, harkening back to Bret Hart versus the 1-2-3 Kid from '94. So yeah, so that was the gist of some of the big events coming up. But guys, I want to get your opinions on this next topic here. And I think I have a feeling we're going to be unanimous here, but let's hear it. All-out match of the night. So, gentlemen, there were a lot of matches to choose from in there. And the nice thing about this card, and we can kind of elaborate on this a little bit later when we, give our overall thoughts on the show. But you go to a show, every show has one match of the night. And match of the night for all of us.
Hold on. I think we're all in agreement too. So I say this. On 3, we all say what our match of the night was, and then we can all break it down.
Okay, ready? You do.
Yep.
Since you come up with the idea, you lead the countdown.
All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Cage
tag team title match.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah. DJ no sold it. He didn't do it.
I said cage match.
All 3 of us said the same match in a different way. I said tag team title match. He said cage match. You said Bucks versus the Lucha Bros.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't even have to talk about this beforehand. I think every one of us we're all in the same boat with this. That match was special. That match was beyond special.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know if I've said this to you guys, and I've actually had some time to think about it, and I'm still debating on this. And maybe when we do episode 3, another tease here, I may have a final answer on this. And if you guys want to, feel free to call me out on this. But I'm having a hard time debating on it. And let's not talk about this here. Let's save this maybe for next week. I'm having a hard time debating if I felt that this match was better than the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Hangman Page from Revolution last year. Because you guys both know, I think especially Jay knows how highly I think of that match. And basically at that time, that was the greatest match I'd ever personally seen live. But I've been going back and forth, and I still am. And we're, now 3 days removed from the show as of when we're recording this. I mean, I honestly think, do not be surprised if at some point down the line I say that this cage match was better than that match, because I mean, it was just from start to finish, It was just unbelievable. It was so unbelievable that one of my cousins who came up from Southern Indiana to watch the show, lost his voice during this match. And he went from sounding like, someone who lived in Southern Indiana with that, that country accent, that Southern drawl. Basically, he went from that to sounding like Brian Pillman in a matter of minutes. And that, so, but, I mean, it was just unbelievable just from the moves in the cage where like they took turns super kicking each other to, Matt Jackson using the loaded shoe with the thumbtacks just to Phoenix's dive off the cage and just everything. I mean, that crowd was, and I mean, you were on the floor, Jovan. In fact, you probably had the best view or the closest view out of any of us for, that match and for everything, for as a matter of fact. And it's unreal just how good that match was and how in suspense everybody was and how much on their feet everyone was. And it's just everything you want in a match I felt we got during that. I mean, that was an absolute 5-star classic. Right now, I can't. Right now, this is my pick for match of the year. I'd be very hard. All these other companies have their work cut out for them if they want to put out a match that was better than what we saw on Sunday. But enough about me. Joey, why was this your match of the night?
It defies what I expect. It defies everything that I think is going on in wrestling. I just, it's hard for me. The Bucks and the Lucha Bros have had classic matches.
Yep.
And tell me another, I mean, there's very, very few, and I'll put this out there. Tell me a series of matches between two opponents that the next one always outdoes the last. There's not a lot of those types of feuds. There's not a lot of those types of
matches. There's not. No, the only ones I can really think of off the top of my head were Flair versus Steamboat and maybe RVD and Jerry Lynn.
Those are two. I'll throw in Okada Omega.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
And I mean, just to keep it light, there's three. And who did we mention in those three? I mean, number one in the world, Kenny Omega. We'll talk about it later. But like, you have like Hall of Famers, legends, absolute icons of professional wrestling. So they managed to outdo themselves. I mean, going into it, that cage comes down. I'm like, somebody's going off the top. And it's probably going to be Rey Fenix.
Yep.
And it's probably going to look amazing because in the moment, Rey can pull off some really amazing stuff. I love the feud. This, again, another match that told a really great story start to finish. And yes, there was a lot of big spots. There's a lot of big bumps. There's a lot of chaos and craziness and all those things. But it's not a Young Bucks Lucha Bros match without that. But finally, we have full heel Bucks against the, I will say, ambiguous Lucha Bros, because are they really faces? No, but they're so good and so over it doesn't matter. They're getting the Stone Cold treatment. It doesn't. You want them to be heels? I don't care. They're gonna get cheers anyway. This match just topped the ladder match that they had in AEW, which was again an amazing match. It tops everything they've done.
And the funny thing was that match was at All Out 2 years ago.
Exactly. So to me, that's my match of the night. Absolute lock. It was my probably match of the night going into the event. As excited I was to see the return of CM Punk going into it, and it actually exceeded my expectations of match of the night. That's how good it was, and that's from watching on TV. I can't even imagine how lost I would have been if I were there sitting on the floor watching it.
Jay?
Let me tell you guys listening to us on YouTube or on the Genres Podcasting Network. Ladies and gentlemen, the hot one is a big man. I'm a big man that doesn't like standing around. I got a bum knee, You know, I use it all the time. I'm like, I'm gonna sit down. I'm a big guy. I'm gonna do this bull crap. From bell to bell, from the time that the Lucha Brothers got sung out by that singer that they had with them, to the time that Penta is walking up the ramp with his family, I was on my feet. This match was amazing. It was beautiful. It was the epitome of what we are going to now come to know as the Young Bucks and Lucha Brothers. These guys are etching themselves into the echelon of history of being one of the greatest tag team, if not just straight out rivalries ever. Their ladder match, match of the year. This match, match of the night, match of the year right now. Nothing's going to come close to it. We have to see how the year finishes. This is a strong contender. This may be the best match I've ever seen live. And I was at the ladder match. This one topped it. And it's the slight nuances, guys. It really was. You get the loaded shoe. And Rey Fenix is about to take it. And Pentagon, who's already bloodied, both of their masks are ripped. He throws himself in front of his brother. And I'm watching, and I'm like, oh, dude. Hits in the fields because he's about to take it for his damn brother. I watched the playback, and Jim Ross, the older brother, the older. Dude, come on. That slight nuance of knowing that these two tag teams are actually relatives. They are blood brothers. Takes it to a whole nother level because they know their partner. They know their partner in and out. And everybody, they work so well. It all comes out very crisp. And the story they told with the heel Bucks, with, you know, Penta and Phoenix not really being, like you guys said, they're skirting. They're in that Stone Cold era. You know,
They're tweeners.
They're tweeners. They're not true faces. They're not true heels because they're so damn over that people want to chant with them. I think Penta, even when he was a heel, top heel in Lucha Underground, people still set him yellow. They didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the beauty of it. You have, in essence, two heels or heels and a tweeners going at it. You just cheering for a good match. And that's what we got. High spots, ring psychology, actual storytelling. It was electric. The crowd was electric throughout. We felt every bump. We felt every kick. And at the end, when Penta brings out his kids, that seals it, dude. Come on.
Man, talk about him, you know, taking one for the team, you know, by taking that shot there. I think about, would my brother do something like that for me? He probably wouldn't, because back when we were younger, my brother was very mean to me. In fact, he stuffed me in a garbage can once. So, but that's unrelated and stuff. But yeah, great match. So Joe alluded to it a little bit earlier about our next topic here. So let's just get into it. Right call to make Kenny Omega number one. I'll leave this one off. Absolutely the right call. There's only one other person that really had a claim to being number one, that being the tribal chief Roman Reigns. And if he had been number one, I wouldn't argue, you know, I wouldn't get my underwear in a bunch. But then again, I'm not like most of these people on Twitter and all that, these Twitter trolls or whatever, that get their, you know, their underwear in a bunch over things like this, you know. But absolute right call to make Kenny Omega the number one wrestler in the PWI 500. To believe it's his second as that. I mean, really, who else has been able to do what he did, you know, in the time frame of the evaluation period? I mean, he not only won the AEW world title, but he went to Mexico, won the AAA Mega Championship. He, you know, took the Impact Championship as well as the TNA Championship, which, you know, was just a part of the Impact World Championship. I mean, he literally was becoming the belt collector. Now, they probably could have gone a little bit further with that, you know, but it is what it is. But I mean, he was not only going out there having great matches with guys like, you know, Jon Moxley, Jungle Boy, you know, the nature, but he was going to other companies and he was having great matches with like the Laredo Kid, Rich Swann, Moose. I wasn't going to forget you there. Sammy Callahan. I mean, he was going all over the world having these great matches. And I mean, really, it was epitomizing what a world champion is, and that was going everywhere to defend the championship. I mean, he had, numerous classics, then he had the infamous, exploding barbed wire death match, which didn't quite, pan out the way that I think everybody hoped it would. But again, that's not on them. That's on the whoever was setting up the pyro and stuff. But yeah, I mean, there really was no other option, maybe other than Roman Reigns, and even then, it wasn't even close. Joey, what do you got?
Yeah, there's no disagreement here. I don't think. Now I'll say this: is Kenny Omega my favorite wrestler? No, he's not. Is Kenny Omega deserving of the number one spot in the PWI 500? Absolutely. No one else has done or had the opportunity to do what he's done this year. Is there an argument for Roman? Yeah, there is. I think there is. Roman's having I don't want to say career resurgence, but finally getting that good, solid heel turn that everyone wanted to see since his singles run. I love the Tribal Chief storyline. I love the stuff with Heyman and now the returning Brock Lesnar at some point. We're building towards that. Ask me 3 years ago if I cared about Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. No. Ask me right now. Yeah, I do. So there's an argument there. But this is East versus West. This is red versus blue. You have your AEW fans, you have your WWE fans, and nobody can get along. I am personally, just like you guys, I'm sure, I'm just a fan of professional wrestling. I don't really particularly care whose brand it is. If it's good wrestling, it's good wrestling. And good wrestlers shine through no matter the show or if they're allowed to only play in their own sandbox or other people's. So Kenny deserved it. He's had a year. He got to do something that modern fans haven't seen done. Us older gentlemen, as part of this show, remember times of little things called territories, and territories had their own titles, and a little group called the NWA that's still out there putting on quality shows. Do tune in and watch. They were linked up with many of these organizations, so you had a lot of guys who could carry multiple championships. That's something that died out, and now it's back again because AEW and Kenny Omega, and he was the perfect guy to do it with. I don't think anybody else in the world right now would be able to carry that kind of that kind of weight in the bag, in the travel bag with him. So I really like it. I think perfect choice. He's definitely number one. Absolutely deserved.
I was at Double or Nothing during the pandemic in Jacksonville, and they had something called the inaugural Fan Fest. And no one really knew what was going to go on a Fan Fest. Everyone was there huddled together to see, are we going to see matches? Are we going to hear from wrestlers? And they did an impromptu Unrestricted with Kenny Omega. And this is fresh off the heels of Omega really getting into the belt collector. This is him, he's AEW champion. He's really healing it up. He's not completely to the heel that we see now, but he's making his way. And you hear Omega say things like, I was getting tired. I was getting worn out. During the whole time without crowds, he was losing it. He was losing the love for it. And you kind of hear him say that, and you can feel it. Because you watch an Omega match during the quarantine year, and yeah, people started asking, this is the 6-star machine? This is the guy who took it to Okada? This is the guy that's supposed to make AEW the big show that it's supposed to be? And then what happens? You bring back fans. Omega gets re-energized. He starts putting out the type of matches that everybody knows he has the ability to do, but not only is he doing it in AEW, he goes to AAA, to where they now, when he defends that belt, they call that the Omega Championship. He goes to TNA Impact, where he brought them their biggest buy rates on shows that they have had ever. He takes their championship, elevates people on their roster, and finally brings them some viewership that hopefully is sustained because Impact is a show everybody's sleeping on.
Yep.
He takes Dynamite. It's a great product. He's elevating the talent that he's gone through. Jungle Boy. The match with Jungle Boy puts him in the conversation where everyone's like, wow, this kid's going to be something real big. How long is it going to take him? His match with, even though Moxley, that exploding death match went a little sour, still a great match. You look at everything that he's accomplished, you'd be hard-pressed to say that the 6-star machine, the 6-star bout machine isn't back. He is. And when he was at the pinnacle of his duties, he was number one. Now that he's back doing what he's doing, he's number one again. Guys, there's a contingency of people who are not going to like Kenny Omega for whatever reason. They're going to be these cuck of Cornet followers who are going to call him Finger Bang, McBlast Blast, or whatever they want to say. Jazz Fingers, Sparkle Fingers, whatever.
That would be Twinkle Toes McFingerbang.
There you go. Twinkle Toes McFingerbang. But you have to give the man his due. Because for what he brings in ring and the different styles he works, yes, there's a Kenny Omega style. It is a strong style. Every match he has, his key moves, but it's how he gets there. The story he tells to get there is different every time. Watch his AAA matches. It looks nothing like a Dynamite match. These subtle nuances makes him the best in the world right now. Number one, Roman Reigns, you're limited by where you're at. Unfortunately, within this last year, we haven't seen Roman Reigns wrestle anybody that he hasn't already wrestled. Difference is his attitude, his moveset, the way he takes care of business has changed. And for that reason, he's at number 2. Because while Roman is still playing in the same sandbox, he's changed so dramatically that we want to see him. So, Roman, I give you your credit. You are doing the best out of your circumstances, but Kenny Omega has just had the ability to shine everywhere.
Well put. And before we get into our last topic here, again, this is a reminder, you're listening to Shooting as part of the Johners podcasting network. Check us out at wrestlingwithjohners.com and check out all of the great shows, including our boys Shane, Isaac, and Dozer with Such Good Shoot, our boy Brad with Toilet Side Wrestling Talk. Check out John Scott's Wrestling with Johners podcast and all the great shows on there. Tons of new shows are being added all the time. And if you're interested in if you have a wrestling podcast and you're interested in, bringing your show aboard a great and a very fast rising network, let us know here and we can help you get the ball rolling. But guys, we got one more topic to talk about here. We talked about everything that was All Out and stuff, but let's just share this. Final All Out thoughts. So yeah, final All Out thoughts. Overall, what'd you think of the show? Any lasting memories and all that good stuff? Jay, let's lead this one off.
There's a show back in the day named 30 Rock. Mm-hmm. And there's a phrase they use in that show called Reaganing. It's where you have the perfect day. Everything is just fantastic. Everything goes exactly the way it should for you to have the perfect day. All Out was Reaganing at its finest. You come out swinging with Miro versus Redeem These Nuts, Eddie Kingston. You got the crowd instantly into it. You follow that up with another stellar match. Whoever did the lineup for this match to then follow up Miro with Britt Baker, genius. Mm-hmm. Follow Britt Baker up with that cage, genius. Come after that cage, go into the damn Battle Royal, genius. Because Kingston, then Moxley. Moxley brought out Minoru Suzuki. Then you get DMD, then the cage, then you get the Battle Royal with Soho. Great pops. And you finish it on out with the remaining matches. Everything was strategically placed to bring you up and bring you back down. Bring you up, bring you back down, and then take you home to that final push where you see Adam Cole and the American Dragon, Daniel Bryan. In one word, All Out, perfection.
Joey?
I concur. Yeah, it was absolutely hands down the best AEW pay-per-view show we've seen. In my opinion, the best AEW show, period. Dynamite, Rampage, pay-per-view, doesn't matter. To date, it was the best show. The surprises were there, the debuts were there, the way they handled the surprises and debuts, perfect. Going back to our first thought, the biggest surprise, again, Suzuki showing up, and I thought the way that just played was just absolutely perfect. You want to start the show hot, and give me, somebody hotter right now than Eddie Kingston in AEW. So underrated. Give the man his TV time, give him everything he deserves. He's amazing. They started out hot, and that match I loved. I mean, that match had me back, 1990s tape trading, all Japan style. So hey, props to Miro, because I've never really seen Miro work like that. So loved it. Eddie was amazing. I mean, from there, the Battle Royal, I mean, Ruby coming out as the Joker, what a pop, for that. That was crazy to hear, like, just deafening. The tag team match, of course, the title match, phenomenal. I can't really find a down spot. I mean, even if I have to pick one, the QT Paul White match, but it did what it was supposed to do. You have to have a bit of a cool down before the main event. Yep. You have to cleanse the palate a little bit before the main event. And that's what it was, and that's what it was there for. And it did, because I thought the crowd might be dead going into that main event. We had Punk already. We had, we had Ruby debut. We had Suzuki as a surprise. So going into that main event, I was like, whew, I mean, I was worn out sitting here doing nothing. So I can only imagine how you guys were in the crowd. But that match built up. And again, let's talk Kenny. I mean, he's brought the best two matches that Christian Cage has had in his entire AEW run, and they're both with Kenny Omega. So that's a credit. Obviously we know Christian, he's had an amazing career and he can go, but what a testament to Kenny again. Fans don't think he's had great matches so far. I'm going to pull one out of him. Pull two out of him. And the ending, the finale, you debut the, I think almost unanimous two hottest free agents in all of professional wrestling. Adam Cole, fresh off of a WWE contract, and Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, what people have wanted. The only thing I will say that would have made this show the perfect show is when Dragon came out, if we heard the final countdown. That would have been the only thing I could say that took me just the tiniest bit, just a small amount out of it. I was like, no,
they couldn't get the rights, man.
They said the money was too expensive. It was too much or something.
Yeah, I read the same thing. So, hey, you know what? Credit to even trying, though. I mean, come on. But yeah, we got some other licensed music that's probably a little pricey, that was the only I could say. If there was one disappointment, that was it. However, getting to see Bryan Danielson in the ring in AEW and going out full on, just throwing kicks, doing his thing, man, that was a way to send the crowd home happy, at least on the pay-per-view side. Because after that, I know you guys had a little bit more of the send them home happy than I got. But to me, best show I've watched all year. Probably the best show I've watched in the past 2 years, to be honest with you.
I'm gonna take that a step further and say that is a not only a top 10, but a top 5 pay-per-view of all time. Because much like you guys said, there was not the way the card was laid out, really couldn't have done a better job. Everybody every match had something to offer. I got a little bit of a bone to pick with you, though, but kind of putting down the Paul White QT Marshall match, only because that was the match that my 6-year-old son, who was this was his very first wrestling show, that was the match he was most excited for because he got to meet Paul White the day before.
Oh, dude, that stings because you have to look at your son now and be like, son, you just saw possibly one of the best pay-per-views in a suite of all time. It's all downhill from here.
Oh, and since you brought it up, remember a little bit earlier how I alluded to that we had a special guest stop by the suite? And when you hear who this was, you'll kind of make you wonder if there's like somebody up there that's playing some sort of elaborate rib or something like that. Because I forgot what I was doing, but I think I was going out to, maybe it was to go go send a message or something, because again, didn't really have a great signal where my suite was and stuff. But as I was walking out, all of a sudden I look up, and in the suite walks Lance freaking Archer.
Wow.
And for those of you that again had followed this story with the infamous suite, know that a lot of this kind of started around the time that Lance Archer was supposed to do a virtual Q&A. So again, makes you wonder, somebody up there playing a rib on this or what? But no, I mean, it's just, he came by to say hi. He was going around everybody in the upper level suite saying hi and stuff. Real cool guy. Felt kind of bad though for my cousin's daughter who was there, because she had no clue who Lance Archer was. And in fact, even asked, who is this guy? When Lance heard her.
Oh,
and stuff. So, but he was cool.
Picked her up and
yeah. No, he was really cool and everything. Again, overall, just an amazing experience. I was glad I was able to share it with friends and family and stuff. Again, though, AEW, if anybody from AEW is listening, please, 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 whenever you come to say, I don't know how it was at the United Center, but if you're coming to the Now Arena, set up more merch stands, because 3 merch stands for over 11,000 people just isn't cutting it. People don't want to wait, 2 hours to get, merchandise and stuff, which would cause them to miss half the show.
Open more doors to the freaking Now Arena.
Open more doors, have more merch stands. Hell, even do like what they were doing beforehand, where you can order your merch beforehand and then pick it up. I thought that was a great idea. And honestly, I thought that's something they would have stuck with,
Give the floor seats a chance to get merch.
Yes. And then also, too, for those of you working the Now Arena, have more than one person working the one bar you have in the upper level suites, because the poor guy, bless his heart, he was trying, but it was just slow.
You better tip that man.
Oh, well. I tipped him and stuff. I gave him a tip, but I mean, it's just, he
said, look both ways before you cross the street.
Yeah. But all in all, though, not a bad match on the card. Everything was amazing. It was easily the best show I've seen live. And that honestly is saying something, because I think, Javon, you were there. I don't know about you, Joe, but I was there for All In.
Yep.
This blew All In out of the water.
Yes.
And like I said before, and I'll say it again, this is a top 5 pay-per-view of all time, easily AEW's best show, and they're going to have to come up with something really, really good to come even anywhere close to topping this.
Before we go, because we killed the Now Arena and their staff a little bit, I am going to give a kudos to the Now Arena security guards who were working the floor. You guys were awesome.
Yep.
We had wrestlers crashing into the barricades, knocking folks over in our assigned seats that you helped us walk and leave out of the stadium with. Thank you guys for making sure no one got their chair stolen on the way out. You guys were the real ones. And
since we're throwing we're giving flowers to the Now Arena security, let's give a shout out to the AEW security team, because those guys know what they're doing and they have their in order. But there was one of the guys is an African-American gentleman who was kind of was in the corner by where I was Friday. And I believe Jay was there Wednesday and Sunday. Dude was just a funny guy, was just talking with people and stuff. And a lot of times these security guards, they don't they have this like I'm better than you, not to steal a line for MJF, and stuff. But I mean, they do their job, but at the same time, they crack jokes and they interact with everybody. It's just all in all, great show, just great time, lots of everlasting memories, and stuff and that. But yeah, I don't know if anything else I can say to put the show over that it already hasn't been said. All right, well, that about does it for this episode. Before we go, guys, how can people get a hold of you on social media? Jay, let's start out with you.
I am at DFW Chairman on Twitter. So the at DFW Chairman on Twitter, or find me on Facebook, Javan Manacho, which is my given name. Premieres.
What's with the
I was trying to do it and then swing it up to him, but I missed a little bit.
Yeah, you were a little off there. So
Premiere.
You're A1 since day one, the Pacific Island Playboy himself, the Premier Joey K. Hit me up on Twitter at Joe Kuhn. The Premier Joey K is there. And you might jump into a little Twitter battle I have with mediocre comedian Ron Funches. You might see me, my endless support to sign Tony Deppen, because the man deserves a contract with a company. Particularly, I hope it's Ring of Honor. Find me at the 2300 Arena Sunday night, September 12th, ringside. I'll be on the east side. I'll be over there having a good time. If you see me, beer me, as the boys like to say. And then on Facebook, Joe Kuhn, you can hit me up on there as well too. Let's talk wrestling. Give us some ideas. Give us some show ideas. Huge shout out to the Johners Podcasting Network for putting our show on. This is episode 2. I really, really, really hope you guys are enjoying what we're doing, putting content out. We have some really great ideas and things lined up for future episodes too. So hit us up. Let us know how we're doing. Give us some questions. We'd love to get some fan questions and interaction. What do you guys want to hear us shoot on, take on, whatever? Let us know. We're here for it.
Yeah, and while you're on Twitter, you can go over to the Mark Henry. It's where you can see a certain WWE Hall of Famer put yours truly over as the greatest wrestling trivia guy he's ever seen.
Here we go. One more time, baby.
According to Mark Henry, I am the greatest wrestling trivia guy he's ever seen, and you can see for yourself by going to at the Mark Henry on Twitter or his Instagram. But if you want to talk to me, you can find me on Twitter at Dennis W. Day Jr. And you can follow me on Facebook at Dennis W. Day Jr. Again, I'm going to second what these guys are saying. Guys, and gals, if there's any certain topics you want us to discuss and shoot on, let us know. Send us a message, post on our wall, send us a tweet. Or if you see us, at a show, after you beer us, let us know. Be like, hey, I'd like to hear you talk about or shoot on, such and such topic. But guys, I think that about does it. So everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 2. And we'll see you a little over a week. We should be back to our regularly scheduled Tuesday release here starting next week. Again, we just needed a couple extra days to recover from the craziness that was all out. As always, I've been one of your hosts, DDJ, along with the Premier Joey K, as well as the Hot One Jay Manacho, and this has been Shooting